All right, guys, back to the NFL. Where we have another running back contract controversy brewing. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook is on the last year of his 4-year rookie deal and is apparently considering a holdout without a new deal. Cook set career highs in 2019 with 1,135 rushing yards, 519 receiving yards, and 13 total touchdowns on his way to his first Pro Bowl. He helped lead the Vikings to the playoffs, including an upset of the Saints in the first round. The Vikings aren't in a rush to pay him, though, amid his injury history and devaluing of the running back position in the NFL's modern era. So, Jay, whose side are you on here? And should Dalvin take this to a holdout?
Well, if you ask me to pick a side here, I'm going to be on the side of Dalvin Cook. But if we talk about do I think this holdout is a good idea? No, I do not. Listen, Dalvin Cook has to understand the landscape of the NFL right now, and you only have to go back to last season and look at a guy by the name of Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon took a stand. Yeah, I'm holding out, man. He held out a grand total of 4 games and then came back, and he didn't get nothing out of that holdout. And then it took him a little bit to get going into the season, and ultimately that was a big hot L for Melvin Gordon. In the situation of Dalvin Cook, the couple things I would say that are on the positive side for him is the Vikings need him. I've said this ever since the draft night. Minnesota to me is a favorite in that division this season in the AFC North, and Dalvin Cook is a big reason why. The Minnesota Vikings last season, their success was all set up courtesy of the ground attack. They play solid defense, and they got a quarterback who, I mean, he's okay, but I think Minnesota's kidding themselves if they think Kirk Cousins is going to be the reason they make a Super Bowl run. And I think there's a bit of they're treading some dangerous waters here if they are going to draw a real hard line in the sand and say, you know what, Dalvin, we're good without you. We got this young guy, Matson. We're going to just roll out here with him. And not to say Matson can't play, but I would be uncomfortable in that situation if I'm Minnesota. I think it's in great interest of each side to get together, negotiate something that is more suitable to Dalvin Cook. I mean, the guy has 1 year left on his contract for just over $1 million.
Hold on. How many years he got left?
1 year.
All right, stick a pin in there. We're gonna come back to it.
So now, what I would say overall, I think this is a bad idea for Dalvin Cook because I just don't think he has enough leverage to get what he wants here. But when I look at Minnesota has a great opportunity to make a run this year, and the main character in that run will be Dalvin Cook. If they want to roll into the season without him and think they're going to be okay, I don't think it's going to work out in their favor. But if they can get on the same page with Dalvin Cook, come up with something, and I'm talking about something reasonable. You got to these teams and these players, they got to get creative, and they just can't be just. I mean, everybody don't need to be in the position of Major League Baseball and Baseball Players Association where they just can't get on any same sheet of music at all. Dalvin Cook and the Vikings should be like, all right, look, Dalvin, we understand. You got 1 year left on your contract. You're making chump change, and that chump change does not match your performance because I think Dalvin Cook's a top 5 running back in this league. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend you right now for 1 year, $10 million. But on the basis of that, look, what we want to see, Dalvin, we want you to play one more season, and we want health and we want production. Basically, what I'd like to see is one more season of what he did last year. Replicate 2019 and 2020, and then I'm sold. I'll pay him. But right now, at this particular juncture, although he was predominantly healthy last season, we've seen 2 out of 3 seasons, his rookie and second year, where he's missed too many games. So for me, if I'm the Vikings, I wouldn't pay him a big-time extension right now. I think there's too much risk. But slap a year on the end of this year. Give him a 2021 contract, something short-term, and let's just go with that. I don't see why that would be so unreasonable. But again, Dalvin Cook's got to remember, you talk about Melvin Gordon last year. Also, think about some of the running backs recently that have gotten big contracts, but they haven't worked out. Todd Gurley. Le'Veon Bell's contract ain't looking too good right now. David Johnson. There's just too many instances where running backs before Dalvin Cook have kind of muddled this up for guys like him now, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way it is. Also, we can't forget this point. Derrick Henry out there got the whole Tennessee Titan team on his back, carrying him to the AFC Championship game, and the best they'll do is franchise tag him. Dalvin Cook, to me, I'm on Dalvin Cook's side here, but he's not paying attention to what's happening across the NFL.
Well, let me tell you something now, bucko. I'm definitely 110% with the young whiskey on it. I'm on the organization side. You said unmute your mic right quick because I want to get this reply. You said he had how many years left on his contract?
1 year,
He's on the fourth year of his rookie contract. He was a second-round pick. He doesn't have a fifth-year option.
Okay, cool. That sounds gravy. So he was on that team that well, hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit. Who do you think a better quarterback, Case Keenum or Kirk Cousins?
I'd take Kirk Cousins.
You take Kirk Cousins?
I would.
All right. Hey, who's on that? Who's the running back on that team, that Minnesota Miracle team, the one that beat the Saints on that last-minute play?
I want to say, was that Latavius Murray signing?
Yeah, I think it was Latavius Murray.
Oh, so Dalvin Cook was on the roster. He was hurt. He couldn't play in the game, right?
That sounds correct.
Okay. Interesting.
But there's a reason they call it the Minnesota Miracle.
Oh, hey, you're right. But I mean,
and to that point, they're gonna need multiple miracles to make a serious Super Bowl run without Dalvin Cook.
I mean, they made a better run without him. Like, anyway, I mean, I'm just saying. All right, but this neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Here's the deal. I'm with the organization. I think you brought up the atrocious running back contracts before him. Here's what I've computed in the last, let's say, 5 years for the running back position. If you're going to come out here and you're going to bark for money, you better be elite all the way around. Running, passing, blocking, for sure. And being available. Being available probably is the top of that. You cannot, and this is what I've noticed with all these running backs, even Derrick Henry, for example, not that he be hurt, but the fact that he don't decide to start it up until week 7 or week 8. If you're going to go to the table and say, I deserve to get paid, then you have to make it to where the ownership can't look down and say, brother, you only you missed 19 games in such and such. You did this, you did that. It has to be a Christian McCaffrey type of situation. I did this, this, and this. I got perfect attendance. I don't go out on my own time and act a fool. I can catch it. I can block it. I can run it. And best of all, I'm here all the time. That is how you get paid. You cannot go around here being hurt all the time or being hurt. And then if your best argument is, well, he was healthy this season, so, hey, give him next season. Oh, okay. That's to me, that's phenomenal. That's a good argument. I don't care about – I want, like – if you want me to pay you now, what am I paying you for then, if that's the case? Like, I get your argument of, wait till next year. But at the end of the day, we're having this conversation because he want to be paid now. That's why he's holding out. He didn't say, I'm holding out next year. He said, I'm holding out now. So we're going to talk about now. I don't give rats about next year. I'm talking about now. You're going to come to the table and try to force my hand to pay you a long-term contract when you can't stay on the field long-term. How about that? Stay on the field long-term if you want a long-term contract. Okay, I'm not saying like he's not the key cog to the offense, but, I mean, I can say Adam Thielen just as important. I can also say for the money that he's asking for, you could put Matson in there.
Just real quick, we're talking about money. The Dalvin Cook is asking for about $13 million per year. That's roughly where he's at with that.
Okay. Now, do you got a player that represent off the top of your head?
It wasn't far off what David Johnson made.
Yeah. David Johnson. Okay. Yeah. So, and we seen what David Johnson did. Like, I'm not mad at teams. This is why I'm on the organization side. I'm not saying Dalvin Cook is a bum. I'm not saying he's a good player. I mean, not a good player. I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying I understand why organizations don't value these running backs and don't pay them too early. Because I'm going to tell you like this. If you built a team right now, if you built a team from scratch, where do the running back fall? Maybe in the top 10, between 8 and 10, the most important player on your team. They're not that high. So you don't need to jump the gun to pay them. You only need to jump the gun to pay a exceptional, and I mean a exceptional running back. You just said it. Derrick Henry carried the Titans on his back, and he's still not exceptional. Why not? Because he don't turn it up until the mid-season. Matter of fact, when you actually think about it, he should be carrying the Titans in the postseason because he got the freshest legs in the business because he don't play for the first 7 weeks. So, yeah, he should be doing that, to be perfectly honest with you. However, it is what it is. It's a quarterback game. So for Dalvin Cook to be out here with his chest out, I want money, I want this. Maybe I want health, Dalvin. That's maybe what I want. I want a healthy running back that can give me some attendance. That's what I want. And then I will pay you, Dalvin. Show me something. Give me a full 17. At least give me 16. And then get us to the NFC Championship. You out here barking, right? Get us to the NFC Championship. And then maybe we can talk about, okay, you do deserve to be amongst the highest paid running backs. But right now, he's just out here flopping around. He's been doing this all his career. He did it at Florida State. He was the best talent on the field most of the games he played, but he was always hurt. He come out here limping around, tore ACL, doing MCL, this, that, and the third. Like, that just ain't good enough, man. And for him to come out here and demand, like, what are you demanding? Like, because you had one hot season out of 3, one hot season. And you going to come out here talking about I'm holding out? Well, buddy, go ahead and get that holdout cracking. And by the way, I got Melvin Gordon on speed dial. You can ask him how that can turn out for you. Well, you ain't finna bluff us into anything. Because remember this now. Remember, we was talking about this. Well, if Melvin Gordon was on this Charger team, they probably would have did a lot better. He's the guy that's been rushing the ball, blah, 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 blah. And guess what the Chargers said? We don't give a rip. Matter of fact, we're going to pay the others. You're not – running back is not the position to sit here and try to strong arm nobody. I'm sorry. Zeke is the only one that got away with that. He's the only one. Because if you think about it, Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers said you could hit the bricks. Ty Gurley didn't have to do that because they paid him early. But most running backs, you can get on out of here. We'll go draft somebody. It's a very good running back core coming in next year's draft. They might just say, all right, whatever. Do you, man. Go have fun. We'll draft another running back with Matson and get this 1-2 punch cracking. So, and we don't even know the development that Kirk Cousins might or might not have with his wide receivers. Now, I'm not saying, listen. let me clear this up for the
Please do.
I'm not saying like Kirk Cousins carried the team or anything of that fact. But I do think Kirk Cousins is good enough to where Matson is giving him a certain amount of support, they can get it done. But I don't think Dalvin Cook is, if he's not playing, like, watch what I tell you, because their defense is going to be better than what people think. We already talked about the division. Let's be real here. They should be the division champs if they got Champ Bailey in the backfield running the ball. Like, they got the division they already won the division. Matter of fact, I talked to Zimmerman. He said he already got the celebration ready. The division is won. So, look, all that said, Dalvin Cook is out of his mind to come up here with his chest out, I want more money. We'll switch positions. You want more money, turn into a wide receiver, buddy. Because you ain't getting it as a running back when you're out here hurt half of the time, when you're out here drawing under disability, I meant to say, that you're not getting paid, buddy. So, yeah, I'm on the organization side because Dalvin Cook out of his doggone mind. I always hurt. Handicap sign and crap.
So we looked at this from both sides, and the first thing we already kind of established this, but over the cap, they ran some numbers on running backs paid big contracts since 2011, and statistically, it is a bad idea. 83% of the long-term running backs signed since 2011 have seen their contracts end unfavorably, and most empirical evidence does point to a sharp decline in production after year 2, if not sooner. We know that, and a lot of times what happens is these backs get these big contracts because they're overworked early in their career when they're cheap and you can run the legs off of them. Nobody cares. They get these inflated usage rates, and then they start quickly breaking down, and these teams have to make some tough decisions. I mean, yeah, the Rams paid Gurley, but in one of y'all's examples, but then they had to eat a mountain of extra money to get rid of him and get out from under his contract. So the NFL has transitioned to this pass happy league, and the heaviest run teams are just balanced on offense. They're near that 50% run pass mark. So the question you have to answer is Dalvin Cook or the Vikings an exception to the rule that our stats establish? And there is some evidence for the argument. I'll definitely say that. The Vikings were one of the most run-heavy teams in the league last year, and it was evident that Cook was the heartbeat of that offense when they were clicking. They were the second most balanced, splitting the run 50.5% to 49.5 pass, and they were third by total amount of plays, runs behind San Francisco and Baltimore. So Gary Kubiak is taking over as the offensive coordinator, and we know he ran a lot of zone run scheme stuff in Denver. So there's an argument to be made that Dalvin Cook may be used even more next year going into 2020. Cook can also
that season then.
Well, I mean, if he's alive, they're definitely going to use him more. Cook can also point to the fact that the Vikings posted their worst offensive effort in Week 16 when he didn't play. He was sitting with that injury, but he said I could play. But they said, no, we want you for the playoffs. They rested in Week 15, Week 16, but he was technically available if they wanted it. But at that point, they knew they were going, and they couldn't change their seating essentially. So, and then of course he gets to the Saints game. He posts 130 yards, 2 touchdowns in that upset. And also Cook can argue at least a little bit that he's been a real integral part of the leadership in the locker room, which some teams value that, some teams don't care. But it should be worth at least something that he's been a real team favorite around there. And he provides some of that veteran leadership that, hey, I've seen it not having that can be a big deal. So I don't know. Take that for what it is. But that doesn't get you paid, right? Because the Vikings do have some stats on their side as well. Teams have to consider Cook's lengthy injury history. You guys already kind of hit it. He's never played a full season, although, again, he could have played this season if he wanted to. And his injury history goes back to Florida State. Nagging hamstring and ankle injuries, I remember a lot of those when we watched him play. Kept him out of several games. It was real hit or miss. He has a torn ACL. He has a bad shoulder. He's got some other bugs. He's missed 19 out of his 48 games, or about 39% of them. So what we have to also finally consider is the CBA rules, that a rookie on their rookie deal, if they do hold out, there are consequences. If Cook fails to report for camp or he pulls Dennis Rodman for more than 5 days, he's going to be a restricted free agent in 2021 instead of an unrestricted free agent. And that also means Cook is far less likely to hold out. And plus, the coronavirus does add a degree of uncertainty to the future of NFL contracts. If this does drag into the season and beyond, the NFL, this being the coronavirus and maybe the NFL getting pushed back or not having as much revenue. I mean, we already know the MLB and NBA are taking huge revenue hits. The NFL, it looks good now, but hey, if the second wave pops up, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So if he doesn't get his contract now, your salary cap could go in the toilet. A lot of things could change, and Cook would be very unwise to play chicken here with the pandemic and with the injury history and with running backs getting paid and not really performing. I mean, obviously the best thing for him to get paid to be a 2-year deal where you just give him a huge contract. If I was a GM, that's what I'd do. I'd take a running back. If I like him, a McCaffrey, Gurley, or whatever, give him a huge fat 2-year deal. Just load it up with guarantees, incentives, but it's 2 years. After that, hey, we'll come back. We'll reevaluate. If your legs still work, we'll talk. But if you want long-term security, Cook is going to have to give up money per year. He's not going to get $15 million, which is just short of McCaffrey money. He's probably not going to get $13 million. He might be closer to 10, but he would have long-term security, and he'd have security through the uncertainty of the coronavirus, and he'd have uncertainty amid his injury history. If he plays chicken here, he can not only screw up 2021, but he could screw up a long time from now. So like you said at the beginning, I think Jay said it, like there needs to be some kind of willingness to work together here, and both sides need to realize, Cook is a very good talent. He's one of the top talented running backs in the NFL. He can do all the facets of the game you talked about, Drink. The only thing he doesn't do well is always show up on game day. with the injuries, but he does a lot of things in the field. When he's healthy, he clearly makes a huge difference to the Vikings offense, especially losing Stephon Diggs and some other guys. They're going to need him. So the Vikings need him. Cook needs to make sure he's not asking for the world, and the best thing would be for them to get a deal done.